Hi, welcome. If you're here, that means you saw my intro video and you are interested in this wonderful book. So I'm going to start by reading us the intro of this book. Like I said, this book is written by Les and Leslie, and this is called Saving Your Marriage Before It Starts Assessment Special Edition, written by Les and Leslie. And this contains the 7 questions to ask before and after you marry. And then we're going to begin in the intro, titled Before You Begin. We never had premarital counseling, but we spent the first year of our married life in therapy. Once a week, we met with a counselor who helped us iron out the wrinkles we never even saw before getting married. Not that we were in serious trouble, but we had this naive idea that after our wedding, our life would fall naturally into place. And a marriage preparation course or counseling never entered our minds, which is normal, right? None of us, all of us now, before we get married, nobody's talking about what to do before you marry, just as nobody is telling us about how to actually prepare before you actually get into childbirth, how to raise your child, or what motherhood entails, right? So that is part of the reason why I decided to read this book out loud, so that this is going to replace our marriage counseling or therapy before it even starts. Yes, we had dated for 6 years before our 9 months engagement, and we had a lot in common, even our first names. Like I said, Les and Leslie. We simply thought we would tie the proverbial knot, set up house, and as the fairy tale says, live happily ever after, which is the first lie that was portrayed by Disney, Cinderella, all of us, our Prince Charming and happily ever after fairy tale, which never actually happens, right? In reality. But we didn't. The first years of marriage were difficult right from the start. Literally in the limousine right away from the church, as both of us waved goodbye to our friends and family through the back window, I, Leslie, which is the woman, began to cry. What is wrong? Les asked the husband. I kept crying and didn't answer. Are you happy or sad? Les put his arms around my shoulders and waited for a reply. When I didn't answer, he asked again, what's going on inside you? I don't know, I whimpered. I don't know. Les gave me a squeeze with his arm. I knew I was hurting him, but I didn't know what to say or why I was feeling so sad. Except for the clanging of the tin cans behind us, the ride to the airport that afternoon, June 30th, 1984, was quiet. As we waited for our flight at O'Hare Airport, both of us felt hazy about what we had just been through. Were we really married? It didn't feel like it. We were newlyweds, but we felt more like refugees. After boarding the plane, we fell into our seats, exhausted. So much time and energy had led up to that wedding ceremony, and it had gone as planned. But now what? Both of us sat on the plane, emotionally spent, quietly pondering the meaning of marriage. What was it all about? This marriage. Why didn't I feel any different? Who was this person I really married? Which was one of the things, especially as a girl, the wedding is always a big deal. The wedding is always a big deal, you know. Nobody we spend more time planning about the wedding as opposed, like, compared to what happens after the wedding, right? And this is exactly what is happening right here. Okay, so I just finished reading Before You Begin, which is a subheading in the intro. Now I'm going to read another subheading called For Better or Worse. You know, one of the things that I was surprised about was when Carrie Wise is that one of these days I passively saw a message from Carrie Wise saying that event planning is actually a lucrative business, that weddings are now like 30 million naira. Like you literally spend for a proper wedding, you literally spend nothing less than 30 million naira. And this was an information that's from Carrie Wise. I was like, wow, people actually spend a lot of money planning their wedding, more than even planning on how to set up their homes, planning on what to do after the wedding, how are we going to live together, you know, all the things that is going to take for you to actually live happily ever after. You know, the whole time, the whole point, or the whole emphasis on living happily ever after is put on the wedding more than it is even put in the marriage itself. And these are the things that we should actually think about. The elaborate wedding, the elaborate wedding. Yeah, you are a girly girl, right? Yes, and you deserve to have a beautiful wedding. But then again, you should, in as much as you're spending all of that time planning each and every aspect with your paper and pen about how you want to look on that day, how you want to dress on that day, what's the food to serve people on that day, you should spend that much time planning on what happens after the wedding, because this is actually what actually makes marriage work. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next one called For Better or For Worse.